Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. If you've been following along, you know we've been exploring meditation and consciousness, and today we're going to journey into a really fascinating text, the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra.
It's an ancient text.
Yeah.
Focused on achieving higher awareness.
Exactly, and we're going to zero in on one specific practice from it, the contemplation of the three states of consciousness.
And what's so interesting about this practice is that it takes these everyday experiences, waking up, dreaming, sleeping.
The things we all do.
Yeah, exactly. And it reveals these really profound insights about our connection to, the divine.
Okay, now, when the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra talks about the divine, it's not talking about a specific deity or religion.
Right.
Right. It's pointing to that kind of pure, unbounded consciousness that's like the foundation of all experience.
Exactly. And, most of us, we go through these three states every single day without giving them too much thought.
Yeah, we just do them.
Right. But this practice encourages us to see them in a new light, not just as like biological things that are happening, but as pathways to understanding, the nature of reality.
No, I don't know about you, but I've always found this idea that the three states are actually interconnected and not separate to be kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's like they're all expressions of the same, the same underlying reality.
Precisely. Think about it like this. Imagine the ocean, right? You see these waves on the surface.
Okay.
Each wave looks different. Some are big, some are small, but they all come from the same ocean, and they all go back to that same ocean.
Right.
That ocean, you could say, is like that fundamental consciousness.
Okay.
And then the waking, the dreaming, the sleeping, those are just different forms that consciousness takes.
Wow, that's a really powerful image.
It is.
So instead of thinking of them as these separate compartments of our existence,
right?
It's like they're different facets of, the same jewel, so to speak.
Exactly.
So let's break this down a little bit. Let's delve into each of these states.
Okay.
Starting with the one we're probably most familiar with.
The waking state.
The waking state, right. So, we go about our day, we're taking in all the sights and sounds, our mind's buzzing with thoughts and plans.
Yeah.
And it feels very real and solid. So how does the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra approach this state of being awake?
Well, it emphasizes that waking consciousness is really rooted in awareness.
Okay.
That ability to experience the world around us, to think, to feel, all of that.
Right.
But here's where it gets interesting, because we often get so caught up in the content of our awareness.
What does that mean?
So the thoughts, the sensations, the emotions.
Oh, God.
That we kind of lose sight of the awareness itself.
So it's like, I'm trying to think of an example, like when you get so engrossed in a movie.
Yes.
Right? You're aware of the images and the sounds on the screen, but you're so focused on the story that you forget that you're actually sitting in a theater watching a screen.
That's a perfect analogy.
Okay, good.
The Vigyan Bhairava Tantra invites us to shift our attention from that, from the movie of our life to the screen of awareness itself.
Okay.
It suggests that within that pure capacity for experience, we can actually get a glimpse of something that's beyond just the everyday, like a taste of the divine.
It makes me wonder, how much of our experience is actually shaped by focusing on the content rather than that awareness itself.
That's a great question.
It's interesting to think about. But okay, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's move on to the dream state.
Right.
Where things get a little more mysterious, I think.
Yeah, a little more slippery.
Dreams, they've always fascinated me. They can be so vivid and strange, yet they often feel like they're trying to tell us something, or maybe they're not. Who knows?
Right. And what's remarkable is that the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra doesn't just dismiss dreams as just random things that our brain is doing.
Okay.
Instead, it views dreams as another expression of consciousness, one that shows us this amazing creative power.
So rather than just being, nonsensical jumbles, are you saying that dreams are actually showing us something important about the potential of our mind?
Exactly. In dreams, think about it. The mind is free from all the limitations of the physical world. It can create entire worlds, characters, scenarios in such detail.
It's true.
It's like our own personal virtual reality simulator.
So it's like saying that our minds are actually capable of so much more than we realize.
Yes.
When we're bound by, the limitations of the physical world.
Absolutely.
Okay, so can you give us an example of how this might actually play out in a dream?
Sure. Let's say you're struggling with, fear of public speaking.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people have that.
Lots of people do. And in a dream, you might find yourself giving a presentation to a huge audience.
Okay.
And you're feeling totally confident, in control, no fear.
Right.
Now, this doesn't mean that your fear is gone poof just like that.
Right.
But the dream is highlighting the potential within your consciousness to overcome it.
So it's showing you that it's possible.
It's showing you the possibility.
That's pretty cool. So it's like dreams can offer us this glimpse into possibilities that we might not even consider in our waking lives.
Exactly.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's move on to the final state.
Deep sleep.
Deep sleep, which seems like the quietest of them all, right?
Yeah, just pure rest.
No thoughts, no dreams, just, pure rest.
Exactly. And even though it seems like nothing is happening,
Yeah.
the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra actually points out something crucial, that even when there are no thoughts and sensations, awareness is still there.
So even though we usually don't remember anything from deep sleep,
Right.
there's still some part of us that's aware.
There is?
Huh. That's wild. So what does the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra say about that state of awareness, the one in deep sleep?
Well, it suggests that this state of deep sleep is actually the closest we come to experiencing pure, undifferentiated awareness, the very essence of the divine.
Okay.
Think of it like that wave subsiding on the surface of the ocean. It doesn't disappear. It merges back into the vastness of the water.
Okay, so in deep sleep, our individual awareness kind of dissolves back into that universal consciousness,
You could say that.
like a return to the source, so to speak.
Yeah, the source from which everything arises.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all three of these states are connected.
Right, they're not separate.
But it's pretty profound stuff, I gotta say.
It is.
But how does actually contemplating this connection, how does that lead to growth or transformation?
That's the heart of this practice.
Okay.
The Vigyan Bhairava Tantra suggests that by recognizing these three states as really just parts of the same underlying consciousness,
Yeah.
we can start to disidentify from the limitations of each state and tap into a deeper sense of self.
A deeper sense of self. Okay, well, this is all very intriguing, but we're going to have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to continue this fascinating deep dive.
Sounds good. That deeper self, the awareness that's experiencing all of these states.
So instead of getting caught up in all the dramas of our waking life or, the illusions of our dreams,
Right.
we can start to see those as, like temporary expressions of something much bigger.
Precisely. It's like, remember that ocean analogy?
Yeah.
We're shifting from identifying with the individual waves to recognizing the vastness of the whole ocean.
Okay.
And that realization, that can be incredibly freeing.
Freeing how?
Frees us from being so attached to those fleeting experiences. And it opens us up to this deeper sense of peace, this interconnectedness with everything.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. This is all incredibly insightful, but I'm wondering, how does this contemplation actually work in practice? Like, how can we actually engage with these ideas in our daily lives?
Well, the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra is interesting because it doesn't give you like a strict set of instructions.
Okay.
It's more about cultivating a certain kind of attention throughout your day and night.
Okay, what kind of attention?
Like as you're going about your day, just try to become aware of the awareness itself. Notice the thoughts, the sensations, the emotions, all that stuff, but don't get swept away by them.
Oh, okay.
Just observe them, kind of like temporary visitors.
In the space of your awareness.
Exactly.
So it's like taking a step back, becoming an observer of our own minds.
Yes.
Rather than getting lost in the whole whirlwind of thoughts and feelings.
Precisely. And it's not just limited to the waking state either.
Oh, okay.
When you're dreaming, instead of getting lost in the dream, the story of the dream, try to remember, hey, I'm the dreamer.
I'm the one having this dream.
You're the awareness that's witnessing the dream.
That's pretty trippy.
It is. And then even when you're falling asleep,
Yeah.
pay attention to that transition.
Between being awake and asleep.
Exactly. Can you sense that awareness that's still there, even when the thoughts and sensations start to fade?
It's almost like a form of mindfulness meditation,
You could say that.
but one that extends beyond just sitting on a cushion, right? It encompasses all these different states.
You got it. It's about bringing that mindful presence to every moment, recognizing that ebb and flow of consciousness as it moves through these states.
And the idea is that with practice, this awareness starts to permeate your whole life.
Yeah, you become more present, more grounded, less reactive to all the ups and downs.
It's like you're building inner resilience.
Exactly. An ability to kind of navigate life's challenges with more grace.
Okay, so that makes sense. But I'm wondering, while this practice has these, deep spiritual implications,
Right.
what about someone who's not necessarily on a spiritual path?
Yeah.
What are some of the practical benefits that they might experience from contemplating these three states?
That's a great question because, while this practice does have this spiritual depth, its benefits really extend to a lot of areas of life.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, it can really reduce stress and anxiety.
Okay.
When you learn to observe your thoughts and emotions without getting carried away by them, you gain a sense of control over your inner world.
So it's like building that inner resilience we were talking about?
Precisely. And that inner stability, it can then lead to greater clarity, focus, even creativity in your daily life.
Because you're not so distracted.
Exactly. You're not constantly distracted by all that mental chatter.
You can actually like tap into something deeper.
Exactly. A deeper well of inspiration and insight.
You can be more present in your interactions.
Right.
Maybe even more attuned to your intuition, more effective in what you're doing.
Absolutely. So it's not just about achieving some abstract state of enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's about living a more fulfilling and meaningful life here and now.
I like that. So it's not just airy-fairy spiritual stuff. It actually has real-world benefits.
It really does.
Okay, well, this has been incredibly eye-opening, I have to say. Before we wrap up, is there a key takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
I think the most important thing to remember is this. Don't underestimate the power of your own awareness. In every moment, whether you're awake, dreaming, asleep, there's this spark of that unbounded consciousness within you. It's there, waiting to be recognized.
Waiting to be seen.
And by turning your attention inward, by contemplating these three states, you can unlock this profound sense of peace, purpose, connection to something much greater than yourself.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And on that note, we'll leave you with a final thought to ponder. As you go about your day, pay attention to those transitions between waking, dreaming, and sleeping. Can you sense that underlying awareness that the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra talks about? It might just change how you experience everything.
You know, it's amazing to think that just paying attention to our own consciousness can have such a profound impact on our lives.
It really speaks to the power of mindfulness and self-reflection. We often look for answers outside of ourselves, but this practice reminds us that sometimes the greatest discoveries are right there inside us.
It's like that saying, the kingdom of heaven is within. Exactly, and the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra, with its focus on the three states, gives us this really practical map for exploring that inner world. Speaking of exploring, what about you? What surprised you or maybe even challenged your assumptions about consciousness during your research for this deep dive?
That's a good question. You know, what really struck me was the text's emphasis on the interconnectedness of everything. It's so easy to see ourselves as separate, just individuals navigating a world of separate things and events.
Yeah, I get that.
But the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra suggests that this idea of separation is actually an illusion. At the deepest level, we're all part of this unified field of consciousness.
It's a pretty radical and awe-inspiring concept.
It is. It really is.
And it's not just a philosophical idea. It's something that can be directly experienced through practices like contemplating these three states.
That's right. Yeah,
As we cultivate more awareness, we start to see these subtle threads of connection that actually bind us to all beings.
Can you give an example of what that might feel like?
Sure. Imagine you're sitting in a park surrounded by trees, right? As you breathe deeply and kind of settle into the present moment, you might notice this harmony between your own breath and like the rustling of the leaves.
Okay, yeah.
It's as if those boundaries between you and the trees start to disappear. You get a glimpse of that underlying unity.
That's a beautiful image. It makes me think of those moments you have out in nature where you feel this deep sense of peace, like you belong, like you're a part of something so much bigger than yourself.
Exactly. And those moments aren't just limited to nature either. They can happen when you're with other people, in moments of creativity, or even just during everyday tasks. The key is to be open and aware and willing to let go of our preconceived ideas and just be present.
Yeah, be present with what is.
Exactly.
So this practice has the potential to transform not only our own inner world, but also our relationship with, everything around us.
I think so.
Well, we've covered so much today. This has been a really mind-expanding deep dive.
I agree. The Vigyan Bhairava Tantra is full of wisdom. I hope our listeners will explore its teachings more.
Me too, absolutely. And for those who are just starting to explore consciousness, remember, the journey begins with a single step. Start by simply paying attention to your own experience, noticing how your awareness changes as you move through the day and night. Be curious, be open, and see what you discover.
It's amazing what you can find when you turn your attention inwards.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the contemplation of the three states of consciousness. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking that truth within.